To open up the Public Service Committee meeting for Tuesday, September 28th, 2021. Now 6 o'clock. Roll call, please.
Vice Chairman Sherry Pickering.
Here.
Alderman Eve Ludwig.
Yes, here.
Tricia Teague.
Present.
Robert Williams.
Present.
Darren York.
Present.
Chairman Rick Streebing.
Here.
6 present.
6 present. Put this to item number 2, approval of the minutes. Let's see, 8/24 of 21. Make the motion that we accept. Need a second.
Second.
Motion to move and approve and dispense with the reading and ask for your approval. You got a second, so is there any questions on the minutes from 8/24? Roll call, please. Or no, that's
Voice vote.
voice vote.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get it. All in favor of approval of the minutes for 8/24 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. All right. Approving the agenda. I'll make the motion, dispense with the reading, and ask for your approval. Need a second.
Second.
I don't think there's anything being removed or added, so all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Number 4, we have audience comments. Do you have any cards this evening, Lisa?
No, I do not have any cards.
Okay,
Looks like no one wants to speak.
all right. I have no comments. Item number 6, the approval of payrolls for 9/24/21. Make the motion to move and approve and dispense with the reading and ask for your approval. I'll need a second.
Second. Is that for 9/38, 28 also? 24 and 28?
I just got 9/24.
Sorry.
The payables do have.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, payroll.
Sorry.
Payrolls.
Sorry, sir.
Is there any questions on the payrolls?
I'm ahead of you.
If not, roll call, please.
Alderman Williams.
Yes.
York.
Yes.
Pickering.
Yes.
Ludwig.
Yes.
Teague.
Yes.
Streebing.
Yes.
6 yes.
Which is not, thank you. Puts us to item number 7, approval of vouchers payable. A special run for 9/24/21, a special run for 9/28/21, and a regular for 9/28/21. I'll make the motion to move and approve and dispense with the reading and ask for your approval. I'll need a second.
Second.
Any questions on the vouchers payables?
I have 2 questions.
Okay.
One, I saw, I think what appears to be refunds from IDES on pages, there were 3 of them on pages 1, 2, and 4. So did we overpay? Because one of them was for 1936-24, another one was the one on page 1 was 1936-24. The one on page 2 was 28/14/21, and then the one on page 4 was $344.24.
Yes, so the credits are keyed as well as the time of the invoice of the rest of the payment. So yes, we overpaid and then they credited our account when it was adjusted after it went through whatever auditing IDES does. So they
Okay.
invoiced us, we paid it, they decided to give us a credit, and that's what you see on there.
Do we know why we overpaid?
Yes, I don't have it in front of me, but I could pull it up in my office
Okay.
afterwards if you'd like.
We paid what they invoiced us though, correct?
Yes.
Oh, they invoice us for our
I think it
unemployment? We
was
don't-
COVID benefits ran out. So they,
Oh.
yeah.
Okay. But they invoice us. We don't prepare our own statement.
we prepare our own statement with payroll and then they re-invoice us a statement at the end of the month.
Okay. Okay. And then my other question was concerning TIF for the slotted spoon for $37.50. Was just wondering when that came before council, because I don't remember. There's other TIF stuff on here that I could at least find like in the news, which I know was like before I got on council. So I'm just wondering when that was approved. I'm assuming it was
I would have
before
to
got
pull
here.
that.
Okay.
Engineer Cole.
I've got it on, but $3,750, is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
That, since it's less than 20,000, it would not come before council for our purchasing policy. So anything under 20,000 can be approved by the comptroller and the mayor and department head. Over 20,000 must come to the city council for approval.
Even if it's TIF funds?
Correct.
Okay, because I thought we approved something that was less than 20,000 last week.
It may have been a budget. I don't remember.
Okay.
I think it was over 20.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And I think some of that may have been due to the fact that there's a new TIF district just coming into its fruition. I believe that might be it. We didn't have some of those out there in the East End, in that area. There was no TIFs out there. They more or less created it. I think that's what we voted on a couple weeks ago.
Well, I know that TIF has been in existence for a while on the East End.
Well, maybe they didn't use it for a long time up there. I'm not real sure.
It wasn't used for a long time until Heavenly Square.
I'll
That's the
pull
only
the
thing.
records and email you.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any other questions on the vouchers payable? If not, roll call, please.
Alderman York,
Yes.
Pickering,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Streebing,
Yes.
6 yes.
6 yes, thank you. Puts us to item number 8, city clerk's report. Lisa Munson. Items of information.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Some of you may have seen in the commercial news today, the new taxi cab has opened their new business and they received a business license. They opened Monday, the 27th. It's called My Taxi LLC, and they're located at 207 South Bowman. Anybody have any questions on that?
Do we have a rate available for everybody yet, or do they know? Do we know?
Well, it's what's in the ordinance.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a phone number, but I know that was in the commercial news too. If any of your constituents need a phone number for them, okay.
Please.
It's 217-942-7020.
Are there any particular hours they're operating or?
They're supposed to be open 24/7. We've also issued permits to 2 additional food trucks. One's called Underground Table, and the second one is called Motley Food. I don't know if anybody has any questions on that.
You don't have any ideas to the menu or anything on those?
The Underground Table, they've been setting up at Village Mall. I know they have beef and chicken.
Okay.
That's all I know. And Motley Food, they're at 525 South Gilbert. I believe that's at the old Wright Heating and Cooling building. They have gourmet hamburgers and the basic food truck menu. So we have a total of 9 food truck vendors now.
Okay.
And I wanted to thank the IT division for the Laserfish forms. We now have those application forms on the city website. They've been uploaded to the city clerk's webpage. So if anyone needs an application, they can either go through Laserfish or they're also available through PDF, the applications for special event or temporary liquor, all of our application forms.
Which, Lisa, that means they're now fillable online, correct?
Yes. Still can't pay online, but we're hoping to get to that
After we
soon.
get through billing and
Ye-
collection, maybe this time next year,
Yes.
we'll be coming to that. See all with that.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome.
Anybody else have questions for Lisa? Okay, thank you. Put this to item number 9, Finance, Iceland Macy, Comptroller. Let's see, first A, 9A, we have a resolution authorizing budget amendments to the fiscal year 2021 and 2022 budget. I'll make the motion to approve and dispense with the reading and ask for your approval. I'll need a second, please.
Second.
Any questions on 9A? Not, roll call, please.
Vice Chairman Pickering,
Yes.
Alderman Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
York,
Yes.
Streebing,
Yes.
6 yes.
6 yes, the motion carries. All right, 9B, a resolution authorizing budget amendment to the Harrison Park 400 fiscal year 2021 and 2022 budget. I'll make the motion move to approve and dispense with the reading and ask for your approval. I'll need a second, please.
Second.
We have a second. Any questions on item 9B? Not, roll call, please.
Alderman Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
York,
Yes.
Pickering,
Yes.
Streebing,
Yes.
6 yes.
Yes, thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Ashley this time? Ashley, do you have anything for us?
I just have the risk manager report.
Okay.
Good evening. Everybody should have had a copy of the risk management report for August 2021 in their packet. For August 21, we did have 5 workers' compensation claims. 4 of them did require treatment, and 3 did have some time lost for those where we were just either unable to accommodate restrictions or they needed a few days before they were able to come back to work at full duty. For August, we did have quite a few liability claims. We did have 8 in all. It kind of varies whether it's something that was an accident involving the city or involving city property. We did get the invoice. Actually, there really wasn't an invoice for Squad 108. The damage to it was so minor that the mechanic was able to just buff out any of the scratches that were on the squad car from that particular accident. So there's nothing there that we need to bill for. But the August 9th, I did receive that invoice and we'll be submitting the claim to the insurance company for some reimbursement for that. I did also just complete now I'm a certified mental health first aider. One of the things that with the increase in mental health issues happening throughout everywhere due to COVID, we felt that it was something that I probably should need to do. So that way we can kind of recognize if we've got an employee that might be having some issues, struggling with some things. So that is something that I did complete. So it helps to recognize the signs that there might be some problems going on with an employee. And of course, we also have our EAP, which I just absolutely am so thrilled with the employee assistance program because of the fact that it does, and I do, recommend that a lot to employees and their families because right now it is a difficult time for everybody. Everybody's still struggling, even though we're somewhat getting back to normal. We're still not there yet. And sometimes it feels like we're kind of taking some steps backwards in a sense. So
Have we used that very
the
much?
employee assistance
Mhm.
program, yes, yes,
Good.
yes. I'm actually wearing 2 hats tonight. Jamie is out. She's on vacation this week. So even though I cried and begged her not to go, she went ahead and did it. You should have that report, her personnel management report in your packet as well. This is another thing we just kind of feel like we take a step forward and then we get some steps back when it comes to employment. We had 4 new hires, but then we had 6 employees leaving. So it just does not seem like we're able to get fully staffed, unfortunately. But we did just, in fact, yesterday I spent 10 hours doing safety training for the new 3 streets employees. So I think those are going to work out well. I've got training scheduled for next Monday. So we are starting to get employees and back into those positions that suddenly became vacant. So
Any questions? Anybody, Alderman? No?
Is there any reason you had 6 employees to leave?
there were various reasons. Either they went to other employment issues, or just it's that whole resignation issue where people are going to other positions. It's really a compounded problem that a lot of employers are having, that just trying to keep employees
Right.
employed. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, dear. Thank you very much. Any other items of information?
The only item I have is I want to say thank you to our IT department, our public works department. If you swing by finance It'll look a lot different than it used to be. The copy room was moved from where it was located. Walls were taken down, moved over into what used to be part of Vermilion Advantage's conference room to make room for our billing and collection staff that are coming in. We're squeezing 2 more bodies in the same amount of space. So I just really appreciate the support that both IT and Public Works have given the finance department during this transition. So that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Purchase number 10, Don McMaster's your fire chief. Item of information and his monthly status report.
You should have in front of you our monthly report for fires and incidents. As you see, we had 28 total fire incidents over the course of the month of August, 8 of which were physically structure fires with a total loss of about $82,000. Total run call for the month was 338 calls. That includes all calls for service, which is again, typically it's predominantly emergency medical calls. I have a new probationary firefighter that starts the academy next week, a week from yesterday. He actually was supposed to start academy last week in a different location, and due to required mandated COVID testing that is required by the academy prior to going, he checked into his motel room Sunday evening, went and got his required testing and popped positive and couldn't start academy on Monday. He is a fully vaccinated individual that popped positive for COVID. And so we scrounged and found another academy up in the northern part of Illinois that we could send him to. So he starts academy next week. He'll be up there for 7 weeks of academy and then come home and finish the rest of his ride along and hands-on training for that. With that, I've got expectation of at least 3 retirements or separations over the course of this winter. So in the spring's probably going to be busy for new personnel going to academy. I've got a couple other things we've got in the works. I've got a committee that's been put together that is starting to work on speccing out a fire engine, creating specs for fire engine to get them prepared to be put out for bid, which I'll be bringing once we get specs done. We'll be bringing to council to get approval to put those out for bid to replace an engine, to replace a fire engine. I'd like to get us into a 5-year rotation of our engines. So every 5 years we're buying a new one. So we're not getting to where we're scrounging for trucks. It's going to take some time with the way we've got vehicles scattered across the board now as far as ages. It's going to take some time to get in that rotation, but I'm going to try to get to a rotation where every 5 years we're replacing a truck. So then that way we consistently are keeping the fleet up to speed. And with that, because I've currently got one of our newest trucks, our 07, has been out of service for about a month and a half now, waiting for parts to fix it. It finally was completed this afternoon. He completed it. He's going to do some double checking of some things tomorrow before we can put it back in service. It's been out of service for about a month and a half now. It basically been sitting dead in the water for a month and a half waiting on parts, and it's only a 14-year-old truck. So I'm trying to get us in the rotation to where we can start getting those replaced. So you'll be getting that here in the next month or two. I'm also talking with the mayor right now about replacing 1 or possibly 2 personal size vehicles to replace some of our fleet of training vehicles, as well as my training divisions and inspection divisions vehicle, my personal vehicle as well. So we've got that in the works. We may be bringing that to you here shortly. Also, will be coming to council. Hopefully, the mayor currently has in his lap a couple big, large books that he's reading. We're looking at updating the international building codes as well as the life safety code in city by city ordinance to start to establish and start utilizing the new codes. Currently, we're using the 2000 version of the life safety code and the 2003 version of the international fire code, international building code. And the codes have changed and updated so many times now that we're looking at the 2018 versions of those to update to. They've updated so many times that we cannot, our new programming that we're working on right now, the fire reporting system that has the inspections portion that goes with it, they can't even download the current version that we're utilizing of that programming right now because it doesn't exist in their database anymore since it's so old. So we're looking at updating to those codes. The mayor's reviewing those codes right now so he can determine what he does and doesn't want us to exempt and so forth in the codes. So there should be some
For
things coming.
example, with that, there's like current codes that will now require houses to be built with sprinkler systems. Well, that's an extra $4,000 to $8,000 expense, that people may or may not wish to have. So there may be some things that's something that's exempted currently that we might want to exempt. So I'm kind of looking for, what are things that are reasonable and what are things that we may or may not want to adhere to in our community. So
yeah, a big portion of the changes are just a lot of the changes are just wording changes, and just like anything else that deals with government and everything else, no offense to anybody, that are just simply tweak a couple of words or change a sentence to 2 different words or something like that. And that's the only changes they are. But there are some significant changes like he spoke about, sprinkler systems and residences and stuff that are significant changes. And again, the city has the ability to write an ordinance exempting certain portions of the codes so that they don't pertain to us. They also have the ability to, if they want to, grant a variance in certain circumstances of the codes for certain individuals, certain circumstances. Like for instance, if for instance on that thing right there, if if you're building a new house and it's over X thousand square feet, we require that you put a sprinkler system in it. But if it's under X thousand square foot, you would be exempt. So we can write that in ordinance however we choose to. But he's reviewing those right now, and they're a couple thousand pages a piece, Mayor.
over 1,000 and about 900.
Yeah. So those are things we've got working on right now. Any questions?
Will all of those changes come before council, or is that something that's just dealt with?
Yeah, that will come. Yeah, it is current ordinance now. Current ordinance reads that we follow this code with these exemptions. That's exactly what would have to happen again. We would create a new ordinance that says we are going to move to this version of this code with these exemptions. Yes, absolutely.
How many years do you usually get out of a fire truck? What's the standard?
We currently still have a 1992 that's in reserve status. Shouldn't be. The standard says 25 years.
25 years?
Or I'm sorry, the standard says 20. Standard says 20 years. I'm looking at if I get in a 5-year rotation with the trucks that we have in reserve status as well, that I would be essentially trying to get 25 years out of a truck instead of just 20. But the last 5 years it would be in reserve status, so it wouldn't be everyday use status. But the code says 20 years.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Currently, our in-service fleet are 5 years, 14 years, 15 years, and 20 years old.
Any other questions for the chief? Okay. Thank you, Chief McMaster. Brings us to number 11, Human Relations. Ms. Finch isn't here this evening, so the mayor will be taking on the items of information, the monthly status report.
Do you have any questions for me about the report presented?
Okay, looks like none. That brings us to item number 12. Information Technology, Agnel De Silva, Administrator. Items of information.
Thank you, Chairman. IT department has been busy working on a few projects. We have the utility billing project that we've been helping. We got the new computers installed today, and we're still waiting on some more equipment. As you all know, there's a huge shortage of computer chips, so we are fortunate to get some of that equipment here. So I think we should be okay. So our vendor, one of our vendors, printer vendors, had promised us that we'll get the printer sometime this week. So keeping our fingers crossed.
Thankfully, they were proactive and you supported them
Yes.
being proactive so that we don't have a shortage like a lot of other places do.
And our distributor is really good. They're holding on some stuff for us. So through the co-op purchasing agreement we have with them. Also working with the fire department, week 2 training is scheduled here pretty soon. I think Chief, second week of October. So getting ready to order some equipment to do some testing and whatnot. Also, Adam has been working on some new projects, developing some apps and so on. Also, I'd like to remind everyone that October is the Cybersecurity Awareness Month. So just a reminder, pay close attention to the emails that you receive, phone calls. The hackers are going to step up their attacks, especially during October. So even if you receive an email saying that, hey, you need to enroll in this program, they're the ones that might be doing it. It's not IT department. So keep an eye on some of those phishing emails. Pay attention to the from email ID because that's very important. Because on your phones that not able to see it unless you click on that from address and then it gives you the full email ID. Then it's a fake email ID, even though the name is right. So, and also I've been working with our training provider, and they have, on my request, they've created a training, security awareness training video for the community. So I'll be getting that information on our Facebook page, and they've created a free video for the community to create that awareness about cybersecurity, social engineering, and whatnot. So I'll work with Ashton and try to get that on our social media pages.
Okay.
So it's really helpful to help people in our community trying to keep the hackers away. Yeah. Other than that, just would like to thank my team for helping day-to-day things and any challenges that throw at them. So, and thanks for your support. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions for Agnew?
I just have one. How often do we train internal employees on cybersecurity counteractive measures?
So good question. We have a once a year mandatory training in February, and then we have optional training that they can sign up for, but we test them. As you can ask everyone here, we test them on daily basis. So basically what it is we send out our own phishing emails. Basically we are hackers. We send them phishing emails and they fall for it, then there's a training for it. So they take that training and it's a remedial training. So it's ongoing training. So we started off at 16% click rate. Now we're down to 2%. So we've done a significant improvement on our security posture. So, and we continue to do that because that's the only way to change people's behavior. When I say security awareness training, people may just take it for compliance and forget about it. But changing your behavior is more important than actually just taking the training, right? Because a lot of companies fail there because they're saying, oh, we are compliant, we took the training. No, we need to change the way things people do. So I would really like to thank all our employees here because they are our first line of defense and they've done a fantastic job to protect our systems.
Do council members get similar trainings?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'll be sending out an email once a year. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alderman Teague, I'm not sure, you also may have seen the email, the video that Agnell sent to us recently about how to identify if you're getting sent something.
I may have seen that. No, I got an email that I didn't open because the subject just said document 1.
Yeah, I didn't open it. I just got that one too. I was like that.
I wasn't gonna open it, even though the email address looked like it was valid. I wasn't gonna open it. That's why I asked the question.
For a lot of people, they call me and say, "Oh, we don't trust you.
Exactly.
This is our test or something."
Yeah, me too.
He's the one that actually stopped 4 attacks so far.
I just don't open it.
The real threats, actually. I mean, it's not our phishing test, but he notified us right away because for some reason they're targeting his email address.
So was that a legit email or no?
Yeah.
I don't think it was. It's that one right there. Yeah, from Tracy Craft.
Yep, the one from Tracy Craft.
Oh, yes.
That was, that's legit. It's
Oh,
a
that was?
list of,
'Cause I didn't know, I
it's
was
a
like,
demolition list.
Right.
Unfortunately,
Oh,
it wasn't labeled
demolition
well.
list.
But
untitled.
it goes, it was counter to my cyber trainings. That's why I wasn't gonna open it. But that's why I asked the
Yeah,
question.
it says the message has no content. So I
Right,
was like, man, that's really
which is
good.
also why I asked the
Yeah,
question, because cyber training would train you to not put document one or whatever, and there was no subject, there was nothing identifying, and even though it looked legit, because it was Tracy's email address, I still wasn't gonna open it.
Me neither.
I mean, good
Me neither.
defensive
It's
actions
always
for
better
sure.
to verify, like you said, it's a great thing people do that because you have to stop, think, and verify, right?
Exactly.
Those are the three things you got to remember every time you get an email or a phone call or a text message on your phone, because that can stop
Yep.
any intrusion. Thank you for the question.
I usually either do the little phishing thing at the top so it sends it to him, or I just call him and say, Agnell, I just received this. Is this legitimate? He usually says
I've
no.
gotten called.
Yeah, called them too.
Thank you. That's all I have, actually.
Thank you, Agnew. Brings us to item 13A, with legal James Simon, Corporation Counsel. We have an ordinance approving a waiver for the sale of property of the city council member. I'd like to make the motion to move to approve and dispense with the reading and ask for your approval. I'll need a second, please.
Second.
Is there any questions?
I think I should probably explain to be sure
Okay.
that it's
Okay.
clear.
Okay.
Just so we want to always make sure we're as transparent as possible. As you guys know, the council has authorized us to sell side lots or lots that adjoin property of individuals. Alderman Pickering and her husband own a home, and they're a lot next to this lot. There's really not any other potential owner. Should they would like to purchase it, they've done a great job of maintaining everything that they've purchased, so we feel it's in our best interest to sell it to them. However, because of our policies, we want to make sure that we're clear and transparent about that.
Any questions?
How long has this property been vacant?
Years.
Is it
They
okay?
just tore the house down not too long ago,
Oh, okay,
probably 4 or 5 months ago.
okay.
Any other questions on 13A? If not, roll call, please.
Alderman Teague,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes,
York,
Yes.
Pickering,
Abstain.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Streebing,
Yes.
5 yes, 1 abstention.
Okay, motion carries. 13B, items of information. Mr. Simon, you have anything for us?
I have nothing other than the ordinance that you just adopted, and thank you.
Okay, thank you. Puts us to item number 14, Police Chief Chris Yates. We have an ordinance 14A, amending chapter 34 of the city code pertaining to the Danville Police Department. Make the motion to move and approve, dispense with the reading, and ask for your approval. I will need a second, please.
Second.
Okay, we have a second. Is there any questions for the chief on this ordinance?
yes, can you explain that ordinance for us a little bit?
Yeah, what we had gone over and was voted with phase one of Operation 2025. What it requires is a change of the ordinance also, because that pertains to structural organization, rank structure, as well as removal. And both of those have to change in order for that to happen.
You're creating a lieutenant slot, I understand?
Well, we're renaming actually our commanders. There's no change in anything other than name. So our commanders will be, that rank will be eliminated and replaced with lieutenant.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions for Chief Yates? If not, roll call, please.
Alderman Williams,
Yes,
York,
Yes.
Pickering,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Streebing,
Yes.
6 yes.
6 yes, the motion carries. 14B, items of information.
I don't have any. No, I'm just kidding. Real quick, I'm just gonna go over some stuff. I gave everybody the stats. I took a very small sample, because we'd just done the quarter. And so we're looking at about 57 days. Saw a couple things that alerted me. I'm gonna have to look into it for further assessment, but The battery and aggravated battery, I think it's probably because more people are out and moving about from last year. But I don't want to say that's the cause. I'm just saying that's potentially a possibility. The areas that good is residential burglaries have gone down beyond what the normal variation is. So is shots fired. Shots fired gone down substantially. Still fighting the old figures on domestic battery. And also criminal damage is about the same. So we've either stayed the same or within the range of most of them, seeing a significant drop in residential burglaries and shots fired. Any questions on that?
Any questions?
Other department news, just giving you a heads up, we have one officer in step 2 shadow phase. He should be on his own within, say, hopefully 3 weeks, unless he does something that extends it. We've got 3 officers, step 1, phase 2. Hopefully they'll be available by mid-December if training goes properly. We still have the 2 vacancies. PTI doesn't start till January, or the academies don't have any openings till January. So we'll probably hire in mid-December, get them trained up in-house, and then get them on their way to the academy, and then we'll be at 100% strength again. We developed just recently, along with the part of the OP 2025, we developed a training curriculum for command staff. It's adding to what we've done with senior command, but mainly the big difference is with our new command officers, the rank of sergeant. It's both formal, offsite, and in-house. I'm also looking at other non-traditional forms of training for our command staff, especially in the areas of interpersonal communication and leadership and communication. Getting some outside help more in the probably the corporate and private sectors. I think we need to see it from that perspective. We're anticipating these personnel and structural changes, part of the phase 1 of OP 2025, hopefully by mid-October, and we'll be almost done. Now then we can just put everybody in place, do what we need to do, and see whether or not it was a good move. I think it was, and by seeing the memorandum signed off by all command staff, both command and or commanders and sergeants, I anticipate there's a buy-in. And right now we're going through like sort of a continuous evolution of what we need to do and where we need to be. I'll answer any questions.
Any questions for Chief? No, thank you.
Bam, 1 minute, 33 seconds, short of book.
Item number 15, closed session. I don't see if there's any need for that this evening. Item number 16, items of information. I will let you know that next week, Vice Chairman Pickering will be running the meeting because I will be gone again on vacation. So maybe.
Yeah.
If the swabs come in time, I'll be on it. If not, I don't know what we'll be stuck in Miami, I guess. So. Anybody else have items of information? Ms. Pickering.
Well, actually, it's a question.
Okay.
I know the house on Gilbert Street across from Carl is on the fast track, but it's taking forever. I noticed going by there the other day that there was another wall that has fell in and one is leaning. My question is, can we have an emergency demolition because of the wall falling in and the other one leaning? I mean, to me, this is a safety hazard to our people and also to the anything that's around that. If it would fall, I don't know how, about the building next door or, so what is it we have to do to get an emergency demo if that's not an emergency demo?
Unless it creates an immediate threat to life or property, it's
And I
not an
understand
emergency
that.
demo.
I understand that, but is that not, if that wall falls in and there's another one going to fall, is that not a safety hazard to our people?
It's not that it's not a safety hazard, but it's not an imminent threat to life or property.
Well, Okay.
It's ugly, but it's gonna get down. But we can't, you know, we can't make mistakes of the past, and we can't take people's property without going through the proper steps. Otherwise, I'm going to be explaining to you all and the citizens why we're paying lawsuits unnecessarily.
I do understand that, but I still think that it's a danger to us, but okay.
I have a question.
Okay.
Um, I travel the Seminary Street corridor quite often. In fact, living in that area. And the other day, I noticed a bunch of city employees and inspectors looking at the overpass, the railroad overpass in that area. I'm always been leery of that area, and wonder, can someone give us an update as to what's going on there, or is we have that available?
Sure, Alderman Williams, I'll turn that over to our city engineer.
Sure. Luckily, I actually was one of the people there, so I do
Right,
know
I
what's
waved
going on. I
at you.
waved, yeah,
Right.
I waved back, maybe a little late, but
Okay.
anyway, we were meeting with representative from Norfolk Southern Railroad. They own 3 bridge spans over that roadway. The eastern one is the one that's in the worst condition for them. They have we were meeting to look at where they can stage materials to replace that side of the bridge. So you may see materials start getting stored there in October, November, and then come late winter, early spring, they should actually be moving forward with replacement of that span. So during that time, we do anticipate having a road closure, there to facilitate that work once again. But anyway, they seem to think that it will take 1 to 2 weeks, which just sounds amazing to me that they could do that quickly. So we'll see how that goes. But we're excited to get it replaced. I had asked them to do whatever they could to fast track replacement, and they have done just that. So I've been appreciative of it.
Alderman Williams, I have to tell you, in the past, our relationship with the railroads has been tenuous. Unfortunately, the way they're set up congressionally, it's almost like they're the king of the world.
Right.
So we're really appreciative that they've actually worked with us. That you and Alderman Williams, and before that, myself and Alderman Wright have been after them for a while to make this happen. So we're glad that they're going to be doing so.
Okay.
I have a question.
Take.
This is probably also for Engineer Cole. This is concerning the roadway work in our neighborhoods. I know specifically over in my neighborhood in Ward 4, there was a lot of rock placed again this time, which I know we just did that a couple years ago. So I know I'm going to get the questions of why rocks and not asphalt. So
Yeah. Well, I would love to make those all asphalt roads. So those roads were all constructed originally as oil and chip roads. That was back then, permitted material, I guess, for a public street. So to convert those to an asphalt road would require us basically, we're going to be spending probably $75 or so a square yard by the time we do the base work and these other things. And the oil and chip program that we continue to maintain costs us an average of about $5 a square yard. And that includes our crews doing prep work to take out potholes and other things and try to level it, along with recoding it. It's what we do is really just a preservation technique. I think we can all agree that asphalt or concrete would be preferable pavement surfaces to those roadways. When we look at, if we looked at a complete reconstruction, that's one reason we do that approach to try to keep roads from getting to a terrible condition so that we have funds to replace those that are in a terrible condition. To completely rebuild a roadway costs us on the ballpark of $150 a square yard. That's curbs and gutters and sidewalks and all that stuff. So it is orders of magnitude more expensive. And that's something that I think we're gonna have a lot of conversations about that probably going forward as we go through our pavement management program and try to come up with a solid strategy. But we know this is the right track. Just nobody really likes it, and I completely agree. So.
And can you explain what oil and chip is?
Yeah, so oil and chip, I mean, and it's fondly called as a seal coat in the engineering world. It's really just oil and rocks, right?
Gotcha.
It's a certain grade of oil that's designed to, you spray it on the roadway. There's a distributor truck that sprays it across the roadway surface. It sets for long enough that it kind of gets real tacky. And then there's a chip spreader, which basically just spreads rock of our choosing, what gradation we use across the surface. That rock lands on the oil, it sticks, they kind of roll it in, and it's just designed to get it to bond. We get a lot of complaints about rock in yards and rock flying up, and that's intentional that we put excess rock on the roadways. If we did not put enough, then we would have the alternate problem of oil going all over the roads or all over cars and things like that. So you try to get as close as you can to the right amount. To our contractors' credit, they do this all over the place, and they're very good at striking a balance there, but it's more art than science for sure. So we will be sweeping. We let the roadway set for a couple weeks, try to let the cars and the heat kind of work the rock and the oil together to bond it. And then the public works crews, I believe it's solid waste department that does the street sweeping. Actually, they'll be sweeping these areas to try to remove excess rock so that we're hopefully not plowing it into people's yards, and it's not clogging, gutter lines and stuff with leaves come fall.
And how soon would the sweeping be occurring after the rock has been placed?
It varies. We try to give it a reasonable set of at least 2 weeks. If we start to see a lot of leaf falling, we may push that up, but we'll try to get as much as we can, as much time as we can for the rock to work its way in. If we have certain areas that have an abundance of excess rock, let's say, and we start getting complaints, we may hit those up ahead of time. But it's to our benefit to, we pay for the rock by the ton placed. So we try to make sure as much of that sticks to the roadway as possible. Otherwise, we're just paying to sweep it off and haul it off. And we do save the rock that we sweep. It's actually screened later on, reused as backfill and things like that. But, it's certainly labor intensive to sweep it and haul it back off.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I have one I want you to look at, and I probably said this for many years. It's between Seminary and William Street. There's a section of the the worst part is the 500 block of Porter Street. That road is completely gone. I mean, I've seen them come out and throw some patching into it, and within a week, 10 days, it's gone. And I'm talking deep. I'm talking 5 to 6 inches deep. So if you could go out and look at that one more time.
Okay. Yeah, we'll do. And I guess just to highlight, we aren't necessarily doing the worst streets for the seal coat prep. The effort's going into preserving those that can be saved, and we're trying to keep the others passable that are kind of too far gone to make nice without a rebuild. So we will see like Porter, say Porter's a terrible section.
No, see on the 600 block, it's fine. The 300 block.
Okay. Fine. So we're trying to do it move to a neighborhood by neighborhood approach. And we expect our goal is to cover 20% of the oil and chip streets in the city every year, because we expect that the surface treatment will last about 5 years. So we did not hit that goal this year. We tried our hardest, and the guys told me it was impossible, and weather did not help us, but we only got about 60% of our prep of our goal this year. So we will be increasing that, and we'll just see what we can do. We're trying to make some adaptations. Really, I don't take credit for this. I put together a budget that you all approved, but our streets workers do a great job of getting out there and prepping stuff for many months. And then we have contract labor come in and do the seal coat. Marla Sutton, who's an engineering technician, manages the program. And I just get to sit here and take credit and blame as you all see fit, I guess. So.
Well, I know there hasn't been anything done out there substantially for at least 3 years.
Yes.
I know that.
So we would expect that within 5 years, we'll touch every city street that's oil and chip.
And I think some of the problem is it's a dividing line between Ward 1 and I think Ward 3 or 4. I can't remember now which, but one side of the street is this and the other side is this. So I get phone calls about, well, who am I supposed to talk to?
Yeah. Well, that's worse for us because we get blamed by both aldermen. So.
Yeah.
And we try to be cognizant that we do a little bit of work in each ward, but that doesn't necessarily drive our decision making. It's just we don't want to leave anybody hanging.
And,
So-
and looking at some of the roads, and I know this is why some of this has happened. You've got your drip lines that come off your trees, and every time it rains or anything, it's going in the same spot over and over and over, which throws it all out and cracks it too. So,
Right.
but there's not much of a surface left there.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions for anybody? If not, I think we've satisfied everything on the agenda this evening, and need a motion and a second for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, everybody. We are adjourned. I'm gonna give these two to you.
I pushed all of them.
This is something I noticed
Yeah, I wanted
today.
to eat lunch with him, but he.
Back wall's falling in the building that commercial new use.
He didn't even schedule it with me.
It's right across from the commercial news. You know, the back
How'd he do?
dock area. It's the one that they use across the street. They keep all their papers and news.
I pushed all
The whole
three of
back
them.
wall.
It's
falling
the
down.
top
I
and then
understand
the
that.
top
Well,
on
hang
the
on.
top.
It's
Oh,
getting ready to
both?
fall
Hang
in, and
on.
it does,
Uh-huh.
it's gonna fall on,
The first-
on the
oh, got
property
it.
that belongs to.
And then you'll see slide power.
Got it.
I mean, the bricks,
I'm
the
telling
bricks
you.
are. Matter of fact, they're down between some wire mesh that they've got to protect the windows, and they practice